All right, so we're gonna move on to our next special guest, who is Robert Reid. I'm sure most of you know who he is, if not all of you. He's the animation specialist with the Office of the Prime Minister. He has been involved in this animation industry for quite some time. He's, spearheaded quite a lot of projects that I know a lot of you have benefited from. I have benefited from, and he's here to tell us now about the YEDAI project, which started all of this, support for the animation industry, and what the state of it is, right now, and pretty much doing some sort of wrap up. So Robert, I'm going to hand over to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Kevin. And good afternoon, everyone. It's great to see familiar faces. And I wish Anushka and Carol all the best with your festivals. Good luck with that. I'll be participating. Kevin, I'm going to share a presentation.
I'm going to make you presenter, right?
All right. Thank you.
All right, you are now a presenter.
All righty. All righty. Can you see?
Yes, we are seeing your presentation.
Okay, everyone, I'm just going to give a brief 15-minute overview of the YEDAI project, the successes, and what's in store as we wrap up. As Kevin mentioned earlier, we are wrapping up. So I'm just going to go straight into it. Okay, so as most of you know, the project, the YEDAI project, Youth Employment in the Digital and Animation Industries project, was funded through a loan from the World Bank, and it was a loan in the amount of $20 million US. The duration of the project was September 2014, and it will end this July 31st, 2021, right around the corner. All good things must come to an end. So the project was executed by two different ministries, the Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology, and then it was moved to the Office of the Prime Minister. I guess if Kevin, if you have any questions or make any comments, feel free to jump in at any time.
Sure, no problem.
Right. I just wanted to mention that the project had 5 components, but many people thought the entire $20 million was for the development of the animation industry. But actually, animation was only one of the components out of the 5 components. And it's component one there to the left. So approximately $7 million US was allocated to skills and capacity to enhance employability and entrepreneurship. And that's where most of the animation activities lies. And most of it was mainly training. As you see the name there, it says skills, and we're building skills and capacity to enhance employability and entrepreneurship. So we just wanted to mention that. Okay, one of their first activities was actually not related to animation. It was providing training in accessing online work using online platforms. So it was a 2-day workshop, and we delivered the training to 30 participants in just how to use platforms like Fiverr and Upworks and those online platforms to make money online. It was not related to animation, but a lot of animation jobs can be found on these platforms. So there were some animation beneficiaries in that program, but it was just the general training in how to get work online. And we provide the target for this was the beneficiaries were what we call unattached youth. So it's youth that were not employed, they didn't have a job, or they were not neither in school, and it was for persons with disabilities. We also provided training 3D. Okay, so we had the Creative Industries Education and Employment Program, which most of you were a part of. And this is a 3D training delivered over 9 months, 5 specialized modules in 3D animation. This was a collaboration with the Korean Trust Fund, another project, and we worked together to co-fund and co-organize this program. We had 3 trainers coming in to deliver the program, and we partnered with an organization called CA Foundation. CA Foundation has a training arm and a studio called Studio C in Guatemala to provide a curriculum and just supervise the program. As the name suggests, education and employment. So there were 2 phases to it. We were able to train 155 persons in this program over the 9 months. And this is aligned with the overall goals, which is building skills and capacity. The employment phase did not materialize because it relied on local investment on an international production. So despite our efforts to engage with local investors to provide some investment into the local productions, to provide investment into the international production, this did not materialize. So the employment phase just did not happen. So moving on, we've had a training of trainers program. So this is for 1 month face-to-face online summer training programs, and the participants were animation trainers from our local training institutions that benefited from this program. And over the years, we've actually trained 52. That's 19 in 2D animation and 33 in 3D animation across the various universities, high schools, and vocational programs, such as NTA in Jamaica. Of note, at the end of each training program, we would have a closing ceremony where we would actually see the work that they did. And over the years, we've seen significant improvement in the quality of the animation skills of our local trainers from this program. And it also created a sort of networking amongst the trainers and the schools themselves, because I remember in the beginning when we first had the program, everybody was in silos. Like you have one school over there, one school over there, and they didn't know each other. So out of the program, at the end of the program, we actually had more collaboration between the schools and between the instructors. Matter of fact, we have a community, a Facebook, a WhatsApp group, and a Facebook group set up where these instructors have been just directly talking to each other, sharing opportunities with each other, just discussing the animation industry. In general, I've seen persons in this program who got jobs in other schools from, teaching in other schools. So I think it was a great success, and I think it should continue. In addition to that, we've hired consultants, experts in curriculum development, specifically animation curriculum development, to review 6 of our local animation curricula in Jamaica. And the consultants reviewed the curriculum, made recommendations for improvement, and the schools have reported to us that they have made revisions to their curriculum based on the recommendations. Some, not all. There have been constraints why some of them weren't. Some of the recommendations were not incorporated. But over the course of the years, we've been engaged with the schools in curriculum revision. We're on curriculum advisory boards, and we've been working with the schools to improve their curriculum. All right. Under the project, we also provided some hardware and software support to the schools that were offering animation in Jamaica. There were 7 beneficiary vocational and tertiary schools in Jamaica that are offering animation, and we provided, I'm not going to go into the details, but we provided some graphic tablets, networking equipment, and animation software through funding from the project. One of the challenges we had was the provision of computers to these schools. So we've had significant delays in the procurement of these computers. But by the end of the project in July, we will be providing each of the schools with some computers. The numbers were reduced based on, I don't know what the constraints were, but it's probably financial constraints are, yeah. But we're trying to deliver the computers to the schools by the end of the project in July. And this was all in an effort to really strengthen and enhance the existing training programs in Jamaica. That was one of the mandates of the YEDAI project, through training of trainers, curriculum development, and provision of hardware and software. Okay, the animation scholarship program. So as many of you know, this was originally planned to be an apprenticeship program where animators would have gotten hands-on training in an actual studio and get that real-world experience. However, we were unable to do so because COVID came in the picture, and then we were unable to do face-to-face training because of the government protocols. So we had to pivot, and then we pivoted to the scholarship program where we provided scholarships for our local animators into existing online courses. So the training is being delivered by Toon Boom Animation and Anim School. Toon Boom, each of the courses were about 10 to 11 weeks long. 36 persons received scholarships and are registered in the Toon Boom 2D program, and 45 are registered in the 3D Anim School program. The program has been completed now, mid-June, and we're just doing some wrapping up, closing out things like, I think the Toon Boom students will be doing a certification exam where they'll take, and if they pass the exam, they'll receive Harmony associate certificate in Toon Boom Harmony, which is internationally recognized. Yeah. I was on the training side, helping the schools. On the demand side and working with the animation studios, working with investors, working with the demand side of it, getting jobs part. We had the BOSS, Business of Sustainability for Studios program, which we call the BOSS program. And it was a program geared at assisting the studios mainly and investors. Okay, and it was implemented during 2018 to 2020 in collaboration with JAMPRO, Jamaica Promotions Agency. We had 15 participants, including studio executives, owners of intellectual property, IP, animated intellectual property, and entrepreneurs who wish to start up a studio. So it was not necessarily for studios alone, it was persons with content as well as persons who wanted to start a studio. And the government representatives, World Bank representatives, local investors were also a part of this program, and we all benefited. And the program was basically preparation for markets and going to different markets to identify business opportunities. We got a chance to meet with a lot of international investors, international broadcasters, distributors, buyers, sellers, to identify different opportunities. One of the main challenges, or one of the main lessons we learned from this is that this animation industry is built on networking. So yeah, it's built on networking and building relationships. So we went to these markets here: Anime Caribe in 2015, the Los Angeles Film Festival, MIPCOM 2018, 2019, Kids Screen, a number of times, 2015, 2018, 2019, 2020. And as a result of it, there were some deals being made by local and international companies, and there are contracts being negotiated. But one of the main intangible benefits that probably we won't see the benefits now, but maybe in the future, is the relationships that were built between local stakeholders and international stakeholders. All right. And we also had training in animation, but this is more on the business side of preparing for markets, strategic planning, international best practices, financing, and business affairs to assist the studios on that. Revenue generation, accessing global markets. And then finally, we had King's Tunes. Kingston, we had a number of Kingstons. 2013, which was hosted directly hosted by the World Bank, not the YEDAI project. Then the YEDAI project came in and we hosted 2016, 2019, and 2021 virtually. And if you look at the numbers there, you'll see that Kingston has really grown significantly over the past couple of years. From 800 attendance in the first one, 300 competition entries. And we're proud to say that in the last Kingston, we had 4,000 entries from 60 countries, 4,000 attendees from 60 countries, and 2,000 entries from 105 countries in the competitions. The virtual approach allowed us to reach a far larger audience and speakers. One of the challenges. Okay. And I just wanted to say that just based on discussions with everyone, Kingston has developed into a positively recognized, globally recognized, and positively recognized brand all over the world. Everywhere we go, different markets, people know about Kingston. And so we really wanted to continue. However, currently there are no prospects. The World Bank and the government of Jamaica is discussing how we can continue Kingston and who can continue Kingston. This dialogue is currently going on about that. But it's definitely one of the activities that if you want to keep, this is one of them that we want to keep. And we had some partnerships between the YEDAI project and the Korean World Bank Partnership Facility. It's a fund that was a partnership. It was a fund by the World Bank in partnership with Korean government. And through this partnership, we collaborated. We either co-funded or helped with implementing some of these activities. The SEED program, Kids Screen, internships to Korean studios, and the DSB conference. We established, an animation industry working group was established during Kingston 2019. The group has been active, and particularly they've assisted us in designing programs, in designing Kingston, in designing the scholarship program. It was not always easy, but we've managed to do it. And these are stakeholders, our animation studio executives, program directors, the association. JANN is a part of this working group. And yeah. In terms of continuation or sustainability of the industry or leaving a legacy, we are currently now working on a virtual community of practice. So the World Bank has hired a consultant to develop this community of practice. And it's really a space, an online space where we can leverage content, and we will be leveraging a learning management platform and learning management technology with knowledge outputs generated from training activities from the Korean Trust Fund and the YEDAI project. Sorry. The space will serve animators, investors, animation enthusiasts, animation business as a hub. It's a kind of an online space where we can all collaborate, learn, and build a community and continue that community engagement, right? That's really important, networking. It will have material from the training programs, from the Train the Trainers, the SEED program, as well as the Korean Trust Fund program on that platform. So you can go and refresh your memory and network, and it will all be interactive as well. And this virtual community of practice will be managed by the Industry Association, Jamaica Animation Nation Network, ensuring a positive legacy of the YEDAI project. And finally, we are working on an animation policy concept paper. So the animation policy concept paper, it's the first step in developing an animation policy for Jamaica. And the consultation is now in progress, and it's scheduled for completion the end of this month. And let me tell you the reason for this policy paper. So a lot of strides has been made, or a lot of successes and efforts are being made by the industry. The schools are doing the training. There's a lot of demand for training right now, as a matter of fact. Studios are working to get work to build their studios. Freelancers are working to get work. The association is working. The YEDAI project was there working as well. But despite the strides and efforts being made, there were a lot of key policy issues that were not in place. And that kind of, I would say, it impacted the development of the industry, and it never allowed us to reach our full potential. So these things, these key policy issues will be in that policy note. And those are issues here related to intellectual property rights, discussed a lot in the stakeholder meetings, having a strategic plan for the industry, a regulatory framework for the industry, streamlining the standards and the certification, streamlining the training programs, and that transition from learning environments into the workforce, into the studios. Incentive schemes for investors, incentive schemes for animation studios and businesses, which is a major sore point. And of course, the continuation of Kingston. Where does it go? So these will be highlighted in the policy note, as well as a sustainability plan for the industry. It will have an action plan with recommended activities and organizations that can carry on these activities. Then this policy concept paper will go to Cabinet Office for review and approval. So the development of a policy is a long process. It's a lot of back and forth in between the government and the stakeholders. And this is just the first step in ensuring the sustainability of the industry. So that's my presentation. I hope you're not sleeping. But thank you so much, Jan, for the opportunity. And if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Thank you so much.
No, Robert, it definitely was not. It definitely was not boring. I actually thank you for such an in-depth presentation. Anushka is here saying she's learned so much from your presentation, and I'm sure others feel the same. I know there are persons, stakeholders in the industry who have been wanting some kind of summarized report like this to find out what's been happening over the years, and I think this has provided them with that opportunity. Now, I do have several questions for you. I do hope, well, I'm wondering if anybody has any questions before I go, because I don't want to hog up the questions. Anybody have any questions for Robert? If not, I can go first. Leo's open this.
Yes, I have a question for Robert.
Yeah.
Robert, in terms of the policy, that's what I'm interested in. The policy, the draft of that policy document. Would you say that that would be a stepping stone in developing a co-production treaty? Because I think that would be the first, laying the foundation for that sort of framework, for that sort of work to be done.
Yes, Leo, thanks for that question. That's a very good question. So definitely having these are, all right, so the co-production treaty between Jamaica, Canada, that has been discussed from day one of the project, from before the project, or with other countries. So what is going on now is that the consultant is collecting information from the different stakeholders. And this is one of the issues. Yeah, this is one of the recommendations. It's a dialogue between the government and the stakeholders. So I cannot say it's going to happen or it's not going to happen, but in the policy, no, there will be these recommendations, and this will probably be one of them. But at the end of the day, it is approved by Cabinet Office. So yes, I don't know, yes or no.
Okay, go ahead.
Anushka, did you have a question? I saw your mic open briefly.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Robert, for the presentation. I have two questions. I missed the beginning of your presentation, so maybe you mentioned it, but I had to step away to get water. Was this a loan or a grant?
Right. So that's also a good question, and many people didn't know. It was, some people thought it was a grant, but it was actually a loan from the World Bank, and meaning that it's our taxpayers' dollars that, you know, our children's children will have to pay back this loan. The government of Jamaica will have to pay back this loan. So it's called public funding. And so there were things that we could not have done with it. Like, we could not have provided funding for a production, you know, like many stakeholders would have asked us, can you give us some funding? We need some funding for our projects to develop a pilot. We were unable to do that because it's public funding, it's a loan, it's not a grant. And most of the money can be used for like training or building skills, kind of building capacity. And that's why we're able to help the schools with equipment and stuff. But we were unable to directly give funds to a private sector organization, a small business, in a sense. But we can provide funding in somewhat to the schools because the schools are public institutions. Yeah.
Okay, and then my next question is, you mentioned somewhere in the presentation that the local investors were not, it was a challenge to get local investors, something like that.
Yes.
Can you explain to me what was the challenge and how would I be able to mitigate that risk if I'm going to do a similar project here in Suriname?
All right. So what happened is that in our partnership with CA Foundation, now CA Foundation is an organization that provides training, and they have a studio arm called Studio C that works on productions. So the founder, his name is Carlos Arguello. He just passed away the other day, so God rest his soul. I mean, sad news for the industry. Carlos Arguello, at the end of the training, he was working on an international film. Now, in order for him to bring some of that employment opportunities to Jamaica, he was seeking some local investment from Jamaican local investors. So through Jamaica Promotions, JAMPRO, we set up meetings between him and the local investors. And he pitched to them his project. And he pitched, you know, he did his pitch. However, we had no takers from Jamaica. So the employment phase was all, it relied on him getting local investment from or some sort of investment incentive from Jamaica in order for him to provide jobs or hire talent in Jamaica, you know. It didn't work out, so that kind of failed. That part failed on our part.
So sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
I was asking you. Yeah, go ahead.
how to mitigate?
It's
sure.
a big challenge everywhere, right? It's the same here. So that's why I thought, well, let me just ask you, maybe you have. But yeah, I think together we can come up with ideas and then support each other, and maybe, you know, someday we won't have that challenge. So we have the same challenge.
A part of the BOSS program, the Business of Sustainability program, was one of the challenges we're facing in Jamaica is that our local investors are not, well, the animation industry is a new industry in Jamaica, so they are unaware of the risks involved, as well as the processes involved in investing in animation projects. Like, just maybe Kevin can chime in here, but they were just not, they were just not aware of the different risks and learn knowledge of the industry of investmenting. So they were risk averse to investing in creative projects. So they would like to learn more about the risks that were involved and how the process works. So through the BOSS program, we had some master classes, kind of sensitizing them, and in hopes that they would, you know, invest more.
Yeah.
That was one of it. And having the festival itself, Kingston, just having these master classes on licensing, distributions, and inviting the investors to participate in these, and funding animation projects helps, I think, maybe mitigate the risk. I don't know.
Yeah, Robert is right. It's, when it comes on to, I don't know what the climate is like in Suriname, but here creativity is not something that investors can easily pinpoint return value. So
it's the
kind
same
of,
here. That's why I asked the question. It's the same here.
yeah, it's very hard to convince. Like if we were doing farming or something tangible that they know that they can see it and they can easily quantify, then it's a no-brainer. But because it's creativity, and then on top of it, it's the new arm of creativity. Well, not really new. Animation has been happening in Jamaica for years, but it's just a newly highlighted or getting more exposure on this arm of creativity, that it's kind of gives it that type of resistance because of the unawareness of what are the potential growth and in growth revenue that can be generated. So the advice is just as Robert said, in terms of setting up something to educate, that's going to be a greatest animation is to informing, because an informed person makes better decision. Yeah. So it would be good to offer things like that, something to explain and probably liaison with another association that's in a climate that is more conducive to what you want to achieve, and see if you can leverage on their success and somewhat share that with your people as well, to see if they can, if they can see it looking good over there, then maybe they'll be willing to adapt it, here type of thing. So educating or informing the investors are the key players in industry. Having training sessions, creating a somewhat of a board or a committee so that they can all sit down and have a conversation, instead of just having things happening outside and then having them looking and trying to figure that out. So kind of a hand-holding process, because it's going to take some time.
Yeah.
Not expecting this or as much as the YEDAI project is over, we still have a long way to go to get animation up and running in Jamaica. So there's still a lot of work to be done. We're very grateful for the project and the efforts, because now everybody knows about animation. Like I everywhere we go, you hear persons, and those who knew that I was involved with the association for a good while, know that they're seeing it all over. So tell me a little bit more about this animation thing. You understand? So it is slowly growing and it's slowly building, but it's something that you just have to keep working on. So don't get your hopes up thinking it's going to be fixed. It's not going to be snapped as a finger. But I mean, it's glad that we have events like these that we can all discuss and build little partnerships and networking, so that we can all help each other to grow. Because once one of us break that barrier and blossom into the European markets, we're going to be a force to be reckoned with. Right?
Yes.
So thank you so much, Robert, for your explanation and your presentation and that in-depth reports of what's been happening with the YEDAI and the implications it have. We're so sorry to see the project end. YEDAI was a huge jump or shift or push in the animation industry. We hate to see it end. We're hoping that there might be somewhere, somehow, we can have this revitalizing, especially the Kingston Festival, because that was our own. We have the Anime Caribe, we have the other Caribbean nations. I think not Titan, but I think there's another one that has their own little thing happening. And it is something that we hope or wish not to see go, because that was just a one opportunity that really opened the door for our local animators and our local content creators, who are able to actually see that what they do actually can make an impact, and it can be a vital or a viable means of career or career income, right? So it's not just I can have this talent and just do it on the sidelines. That persons are actually seeing that this could be a very good job to get into. Parents are looking at it to saying, okay, my child is interested in this. Kingston really opened up a lot of doors and a lot of kind of quelled some of those myths about the creativity, especially animation. It really gave us that kind of edge and push that the industry desperately needed. and we're hoping that we'll be able to, at some point in time, be able to revitalize that. Because yes, the other competitions and festivals all over, there is a Lingam Variety, but I mean that's not dedicated to us as for the animation. It's more for film. And you know, there's also the other film festivals out there that you can enter. There's also the French one that we have locally that you can enter. But Kingston was ours, was completely animation, completely Jamaican, and we hope that we'll be able to revitalize that in some way so that we have an opportunity for our upcoming artists, you know, because the schools have almost all the schools have adopted animation now as part of the curriculum. Animation is now part of the CXC. So we're anticipating a lot more animators to pop up, a lot more raw talent to pop up. And having Kingston was a great opportunity for them to be able to showcase and to really see what it's like to just wet their feet into a competition before they even take on a big thing like Anime Caribe or the other French ones or European festivals that's around, right? Again, thank you so much again, Robert. Kevin,
You're
I've seen.
welcome.
Yeah, man, I couldn't have said it better myself, John. Thank you so much. And you know, just to add to what was being said earlier, one of the challenges we have is that Jamaica is a country that understands, you know, goods, you know, and in terms of services, we do understand services to an extent, you know, not completely yet. But one of the things that we have to realize, very merchant-oriented country, you know, as we've seen with, like, you know, Grace Kennedy and all of the other persons who supply our supermarket shelves. So we understand goods that move on and off a shelf. And, you know, in terms of service providing, if you really look at it, many of our service industries are companies that have come here to Jamaica to set up, which is what Carlos's company, Studio C, would have brought to Jamaica. It would have been a very key part of the puzzle to have a studio with experience and clientele to come set up here and really immerse us into, you know, the whole pipeline of animation. And that is an opportunity that we missed. Wait for this bike to pass. Yeah, that's an opportunity that we missed, unfortunately, because it would have propelled us a very long way in terms of, you know, business confidence. You know, the fact that Studio C worked on things like Too Fast, Too Furious, Riddick, and many other major Hollywood productions should have been enough to convince an investor that, you know, they can bring a return on investment. But, you know, lack of knowledge, a lot of these persons who make these decisions, they have themselves not been immersed in that world to understand how it operates. Robert, before you go, because we do have to wrap up soon and we have to highlight our creative of the month, I'm going to only ask you 2 questions out of my list of questions. So the first question is, in terms of the scholarship exams, you know, the Toon Boom Associate exam, when is that exam going to be held? Do you know as yet?
The date is not confirmed, but it will be in mid-July.
Mid-July.
Mid-July, yeah.
Okay. And yeah, go ahead.
I have proposed that date to Toon Boom, and I'm awaiting confirmation from them.
Okay. This will be on the, it's a Toon Boom standard exam, right? Not
it's
what we...
It's Toon Boom. It's associate in Toon Boom Harmony.
Okay, all right.
Associate certificate in Toon Boom Harmony.
So the last question I want to ask you, well, it's a kind of combined question, but what I want to ask you is, what advice you have for us as stakeholders in keeping the momentum going, and also what can we do to contribute to the success of the policies?
I think you guys are already doing a good job in keeping the momentum going, because look at Anime Caribe and Real Vibes and JANN and the virtual community of practice that we're working on now. It's a good way to keep the community engaged and building it. So I don't think we're doing so bad with that. The training institutions are going on their own. They're sustainable. There's a demand for learning animation in Jamaica. That's what I realized. A lot of people want to learn animation and they want to be in that field. So there are people paying hundreds of $1,000s to learn animation at the universities. So I think that is quite sustainability. that's quite sustainable already. I'm encouraging entrepreneurs to start their studio, take the risk. I think I'm gonna do one. I'm gonna try starting up my own animation studio. There's lots of benefits here for SMEs, small and medium enterprises, Development Bank of Jamaica, but you have to register that business and to get access to those benefits. So that's what I'm encouraging. That's what we need right now, some studios starting up. And I think that studios can grow using not just cartoon animation, but using non-entertainment animation. Diane always talks about that, like working on public service announcements for governments, advertisements, motion graphics. There are studios here that are surviving from that. So I would encourage persons to do that. From our end, we are working on sustainability for Kingston. The government and the World Bank is talking about that, Kingston, and continuing that. So we hear you. We're trying to get that going. And the policy, we're working on the policy. So my advice, just don't give up, because as government, we can just facilitate and bring you together, but you are the foot soldiers who will develop the industry. You are the foot soldiers. You are the ones you are the industry, but we can just facilitate activities and facilitate. So I encourage you to don't give up,
All right. Well, when you're working those policies, if there's any surveys that you need to circulate to the community, let us know so we can circulate them, because we want to ensure that we play as much a role as possible in helping to, guide you guys with the policies. One of the things, and I said this out loud without shame, one of the things that happens a lot over the years is that things will come up and people will say, boy, nobody talked to us about this, nobody consulted us about this, etc., etc. And I want to ensure that people at least get their voice in so that it can be officially said that the stakeholders were consulted and their views were taken into consideration. So when the policy comes out, there's little friction, so
okay.
You guys need if you guys have surveys that you want us to circulate so people can fill out and give feedback, then let us know. We'll share it.
All right, definitely. Most of the information has already been gathered. But I mean, definitely we've always been in touch with JANN and the studios and the schools. Of course, we can't talk to everybody, but and the animation industry working group there's so many reports and recommendations and challenges we have. So it's just putting that information together in the policy note and sending it to cabinet for approval. So definitely, Kevin. Thanks.
Okay, great. And Robert Chambers, he said that he wants to work for you. Roger, sorry, remember Roger?
Yeah, I saw that, Roger. Alrighty.
Thanks again, Robert.
All right.
So we're coming to the close of our meeting, and for those of you who don't know, if you follow us on our Facebook group or Instagram, you will see when we post, or even our YouTube, you'll see when we post our Creative of the Month. And for those of you who don't know what a Creative of the Month is, essentially what we do is we're constantly looking at people's work, and when we see people putting out work regularly practicing, we want to highlight them and keep them encouraged and find out a little bit more about their background and so on. And we've had, well, we have 3 so far. First one was Deborah Brown. She did an animation for Kingston, I believe, in like 2 months time with her and another person. There was Asha Brown, who is an illustrator and a merchandise seller. And this month is Rohan Goldsmith. Now, Rohan Goldsmith is an artist. He's a veteran artist and painter. He currently teaches in the animation program at the University of the West Indies. Rohan, are you still here with us? Maybe you could open up your video and your mic and just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background and why you got into animation this stage in your career.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Should I say Goedenavond as well to my friend in Suriname. My name is Rohan Goldsmith. I went to Kingston College, then Edna Manley College for the Visual and Performing Arts. And then I went to Arden High School to teach art, of course. And I now lecture drawing for animators, or what's called live drawing for animators at the University of the West Indies, which is what introduced me to animation, because before that, I mean, I knew of animation because you watch cartoons and stuff, but you know, being an animator never crossed my mind before I started at UE.
Okay, awesome. I'm just about to look for some of your work to show persons. I don't know if you have any up, can share with us. I can make you a presenter if.
No, it's on our computer.
Oh, it's on another computer. But for those who don't know, well, basically why we're highlighting you is because you, as you said, you know, you've been an artist for this many years, and you've started teaching in this program. And basically, one of the things that we found with you was that you're putting out an, you know, little 2-3 second animated, hand-drawn animated clips almost every day, you know. And you said to me in an interview that we did, which is on YouTube now. So for those who want to check out, that you pretty much animate every morning, like something like some crazy 4 a.m. or 6 a.m. or something like that.
2 a.m.
2 a.m. Yeah, man. 2 a.m. till what time in the morning?
Till 5. Then I start getting ready for work, online work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, and that dedication is amazing. You know, the fact that you do this every day, and it's a very painterly style. Would your Instagram page be the best page to go to?
Yeah, everything is there.
Let me look it up real quick. Trying to remember, is it Rohan Goldsmith? Yes,
Yeah,
all right.
Rohan Goldsmith, yeah.
Right. Let me just share it so people can see. Where is it? Ah, there we go. Right, so this is some of the work that Rohan does. Let me play. This is just going through the drawing process. You use your tablet most to draw?
Yeah.
What software are you using?
This is Clip Studio Paint.
Procreate.
Clip Studio.
Oh, Clip Studio. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Trying to find one of the animated.
Well, the first one was an animation one of them. Just go back up to the top, because I did one this morning. So the first one, that one, yeah. The first two. That was done this morning.
Okay. I don't know how soon. Right, and as I said, this is something that you pretty much do daily, which is very impressive. We really, really respect the work and effort that you do. And I want everybody to go on the YouTube channel and check out the interview. It's a really good interview, dives deeper into Rohan's, you know, background and his journey. I know you said that even though you're learning, you are contemplating doing an animated short at some point in time. Right?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I can't believe that this industry has actually been around, and I've been around and I didn't notice it before.
What's that?
So I can't believe that the animation industry in Jamaica has been around and I didn't notice, you know.
Yeah, I find that, you know, as much as there's a lot of publicity about it, you know, if you're not focusing in that direction, it can easily miss you. But we're glad you're a part of it now, so that is good. And of course, he's also a musician, guys. So another musician in the house. apparently music and animation go well together, because I know Raul as well is a musician himself.
The basketball one is animation, the cat is an animation.
Right. Yes, I saw it. It's very nice. Right. So basically, guys, if you want to be a creative of the month, it's pretty much just all about constantly putting out work, putting out work. The more people see us doing work, is the more people will get interested. And I'm even talking about investors. Investors want to see things happening. They want to see people, passionate about the animation. They don't want to only hear about it when Kingston is going on. They want to see us pouring our creativity out. So, Rowan, thank you again for constantly putting out these animated works, and I always look forward to seeing your pieces every day. And thank you for joining us this meeting and sharing with us a little about you.
Okay, thank you, Bill.
Do you have any, what do you call it, social media handles you want people to follow you at?
Seems so easy.
All right,
Instagram.
so let me put it in the chat. So you guys can all follow him on Instagram. Oops, sorry, put it in there. Let me just put it there.
All right, I just dropped the link for the interview with Ron, so you can click on in the chat, guys, so you can get to hear the conversation that Kevin had with Ron.
Oh, thank you, Jan. Thank you. Oh, and so as I wrap up the meeting, I just want to say one more thing. Well, two more things. One, we try to have our meetings every last Saturday of the month at the same time, 1 to 3 p.m. So, please look out for our notifications for our meetings. We try to have it as, information packed as this. Sometimes we actually have activities, and, we'll post this to YouTube. So for those who might have missed it, you can catch the replay. The last thing I want to mention is that there is another festival that's coming up. Submission deadlines have passed, but the festival itself for watching, GATFest, that is coming up in, I think that's next week, June. Let me quickly look for it. But those of you who don't know GATFest is one of our local festivals, largest community festival in the Caribbean. And yeah, June 25th to the 2nd of July. Let me post the link here. So please put that on your calendars. It's something to check out. You will see animation and film from the Caribbean and international scape. They've been going on for a number of years as well. I believe next year would be their 10th anniversary. This is their 9th year in existence, but this is their 8th festival, because last year COVID kind of stopped them. And the unique thing about this, I don't know how many of you know, but Digicel has a platform, video on demand platform called PlayGo. The festival will be aired on PlayGo. So all you have to do is download the app, the PlayGo app, and you can freely watch all of the films on that platform, right? So there we have it. So guys, thank you again for all coming out. Thank you to our guests, Joseph Fenton, Carol Beckford, Anushka Sanai, Robert Reid, and why am I forgetting your name already? Rowan Goldsmith. Thank you all for coming out, and thank all of our participants for coming on board and listening in. All right. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. And for those of you who have not gotten lunch, go get your lunch and fill your bellies. All right.
Bye, guys. Bye. Thanks for joining.